As of writing this, Endwalker is less than 12 hours away. I thought it would be fun to make a list remembering all of my favorite OSTs from Shadowbringers, recognizing the knockout soundtrack it gave us. I was originally going to make a list of my 14 favorite overall Final Fantasy XIV songs, but when I realized 70% of the list was from Shadowbringers, I decided to go all in. Content warning! This video will spoil many key moments from many stories within Shadowbringers. It is assumed that you have completed the expansion and all of the post-game patches up to the point before Endwalker will start. Without further ado, here are my 14 personal favorite OSTs from Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. Number 14. The Garden's Gate. We start our list with a quaint little theme in Ilmeg. When you're here, everything feels like it's gonna be alright. The transitioning from bells to wind instruments to marimbas is a nice three-piece combo that sells the chorus. The bubbly upbeat bounce to the beat lends to the area feeling as welcoming as it is. Everything in the area is just so soft. Your character can't even take fall damage here. There is just enough of a reminder that pixies are tricksy creatures, and their theme reflects that in a small amount of mischief throughout the song. First they're sour, then they're sweet. The theme perfectly encapsulates what a sad area should be. Unassuming, out of the way, but pleasant enough to make a home worth coming back to. A surprise, but a welcome one given the rest of the music Shadowbringers has to offer. Number 13. Insatiable, Shadowbringers boss theme. Let me preface that I fell in love with this song as soon as I heard it during the Shadowbringers performance check. And honestly, I thought I would be putting it higher on my list. This is not a drag on the song itself, it's hands down my favorite boss theme from any expansion so far. It's a haunting piano rendition behind an electric guitar and violin combo that chills my bones. The echoing call of the vocals gives you this feeling that this is your final fight, for the dungeon at least, and rallies you to bring your absolute A-game to the table. However, compared to the rest of the songs on this list, it feels subdued in comparison. A fantastic song that just happens to be overshadowed by the rest of the fantastic score to come. Number 12. Our Fates Alight, Amuro Mount theme. Alright, I'll admit, I haven't actually unlocked my Amuro Mount. I got close, but I loathe the grinding. I will be earning this mount at some point during Endwalker for sure, but we'll see how long that takes. The song is a song of rest, which I'm sure many Warriors of Light appreciated after leveling all of their combat classes to 80. The acoustic guitar is seldom heard up front and center, given the majority of the content we consume across the game, let alone this expansion. The harp and eventually the piano take up the Shadowbringers theme and meld it into an upbeat melody. The underlying drums, however, are the hero in the shadows here, being an ever-present ingredient to the song's success. The song is a welcome change compared to the Heavensward theme that honestly has overstayed its welcome at this point. Everyone I've talked to who uses their Amuro mount says they hope the music becomes a staple for future flying mounts in some capacity. Number 11. Battle, Bojan Saddlefront. Bojan Saddlefront? Battle, Bojan Southern Front. How do you make a day job on the front lines of a war zone more enjoyable? You give it a catchy theme! Well, it worked for the Bojan Southern Front at the very least. When talking to friends while making this list, the general consensus that was Bojan's not fun. Which I can understand, as they took care of their relic grinding on the day one before hotfixes were in place. But the music is charged in such a way that it feels like you're carrying on a momentum, which is quite easy to get into as you jump from fate to fate or even mob to mob if you're grinding for clusters. The industrial grindy sound of the guitar absolutely carries the energy alongside the power behind the accompanying drums. The vocals even fix an issue I have with the majority of the chanting in this game. Side tangent here, as it's possibly a hot take. The majority of the orchestral choir we get in Final Fantasy XIV starts to feel the same after a short while. Don't get me wrong, orchestral choir chanting is often one of my absolute favorite additions to a song. I feel it elevates music to another level. That being said, it is used so frequently across the music we get, it starts to feel samey. It's as if every meal you ever ate was an absolutely scrumptious cake. It's fantastic, until you start to get sick of it, because that's all you get. That being said, I feel Bojan vocals address this issue. Despite being an ephemeral and a tad repetitive, they are a breath of fresh air overall. I'm not sure if it's the deep female vocals or the lyrics themselves, but it stands out compared to what we have leading up to Shadowbringers. Number 10. Ruby Weapon Theme. Alright, top 10, let's go! I'll hop on this note here simply because we're coming off it right on the same topic from the Bojan battle theme. I adore the vocals we are given in this fight, which should say a lot, as they are front and center through the entirety of the song. They are a powerful statement, given credence by the strong accompaniment of all the vocalists and the underlying guitar and drums. I am all for music that feels like you're being pushed forward and the wind is beneath your wings to get you excited for what you're doing. The fight feels larger than life given the fantastic rendition. I never thought that a song that acts as a rise to a climax that never comes would work, but here we are. The soft reset we have in the middle of the song definitely helps alleviate any part of the song becoming boring, and acts as a drop for the energy to come back fivefold after the music ramps up again. I wish I could thank the vocalists personally, because if I focus on just their voices during the rise, I can feel a tear coming. Number 9. Twice Stricken, Ramuh's Eden theme. Oh boy! Honestly, this is where things start getting a little tight between the picks for me. I love all of the reduxes that we got from their Realm Reborn Primal themes. Some definitely stand out more than others, as made apparent by this list, but none are worthy of dislike in the slightest. I remember going through the Eden raids as they came out each release day, and I was more excited to see what they would do to the music than learning the fight itself. Ramuh absolutely nails the blending of old and new content we got. It is immediately nostalgic by hitting you up front with a spine shiver inducing wail that you're used to from the Realm Reborn fight, and cuts it short with a tech rock beat. It's not a surprise what they're doing at this point, as we've already had killer Leviathan and Titan themes, but it hits hard nonetheless. The synthesizer carries the melancholic intonations of the fight, since Ramuh was the first primal who didn't really want to fight the Warrior of Light, being much wiser than the other primals encountered up to that point. The Redux does everything that a Redux should, and correctly. It doesn't upstage what made the original great, instead opting to augment the experience into something new and honestly better. It carries that same drive forward momentum I have mentioned in previous entries, which is what earns it the number 9 spot on this list. Number 8. Anamnesis Annihilator. Oh, Bismarck, you absolute joke of a primal when it comes to a fight. I will say, you make a better taxi than you do a challenge. However, your choice in traveling music is top-notch. So, to the viewer, I have one question. Do you like jazz? I hope so, because this song is absolutely dripping in swing. I haven't got the chance to mention it yet, but the horn section in the Final Fantasy XIV team is absolutely killing it. And right as you're busy enjoying their work, BAM! You're popped in the lips by an oh-so-sexy saxophone that leaves as quickly as it arrives, leaving you wanting all the more. What a mashup of standout sounds this song is. From the aforementioned instruments, plus the harp and xylophone, the music carries an uncanny combination of whimsy and sass, which I can absolutely get behind. The whole song feels like that one scene from Ratatouille where Remy is combining the flavors for the first time in the kitchen and his synesthesia is palpable. The addition of jazz is a nice change of pace from the rock and orchestra we're used to. Variety is the spice of life, after all. Number 7. Landslide Titan Eden theme. Here we are, the first song that caused me to wipe, solely because I was too busy banging my head too hard and I wasn't watching out for the absolutely nasty tank buster. Titan was already my favorite among primal music. Hearing this adrenaline rush of a song for the first time gave me all the serotonin I needed for a month. It carries along the chaotic, barely understandable lyrics from the original and pushes them to the max. To my surprise, upon researching the song afterwards, the lyrics are indeed actual words, not just rampant screaming. I don't need to explain it again, but that forward momentum has evolved into a full-blown sprint at this point. The glitchiness of the Redux combined with the frantic BPM of the song elevates it to another level of energy. While my favorite chanting of Titan isn't as prominent during this edition of the song, it's still there given the credit it deserves in the Savage edition of the fight. Number 6. Civilizations. Otherwise known as Lahi. I don't think there's a Shadowbringers participant alive who wouldn't put this song at the top 10 list. What an immediately memorable song from the vocals of Kai Kawasaki. The whole vibe of the intro to Raktika while listening to this is that of a wide, untamed expanse full of mystery and culture that the song amplifies tenfold. There is a strong mix of wanderlust and mystery wrapped up in an upbeat current, carried by the strong rhythm of the drum set. The way everything echoes lends to the vastness of the piece in such a humble manner.
Music start.
And we can't put it aside any longer. The live performance that Soken gave was both hilarious and heart-touching. It was here that we learned that Soken had been working on the story finale piece for Shadowbringers while in the hospital. He had been battling cancer for the last year while still composing the godsend that is the Shadowbringers OST. His level of dedication to the craft is beyond the scope of far too many and is borderline too much. He put his very life's essence into his craft for the Shadowbringers soundtrack, and I am deeply humbled to have the chance to listen to these pieces, knowing just how much, not just Soken, but the entire team put into every arrangement. Thank you. Number 5. The Locus. Twinning Edition. I may not be doing a full Final Fantasy XIV tier list, but the Primal Reduxes and the Tycoon let me cheat a little bit by allowing me to pull from my favorites from across the game into the Shadowbringers, so I can break the rules again. It's not even a Redux in this case, though. They full stop took the Locus and shoved it in as a dungeon boss theme. The song slaps so hard, they just transferred it wholesale into another expansion. Same for the drum roll around 110. So technically it's a Redux in some fashion that allows me to use it here because it's a Redux that originated in Shadowbringers. Haha! The song has been re-recorded and it sounds far more crisp, as my roommate would put it. On top of that, there's a slight audio rebalancing centered around the synthesizer. Obviously themed to the robotic nature of Alexander, the vocals are put under a heavy auto-tune. But on top of that, there's a general levity to the situation, like meeting a friend again after a long time spent apart. Number 4. Weight of the World, Prelude. I was hesitant to put this song on the list, but following the rules set with the Locus beforehand, this is technically a new song that originated in Shadowbringers, despite the majority of the music coming from Nier Automata. However, this version has enough merit to make it its own song. The primary inclusion of the Crystal Prelude during the downtime of the piece is perhaps not original at this point, but damn does it work. There's something that Shadowbringers kinda themed around. It knew when it did something well, and used it at every chance it could. Nier Automata is an absolute goldmine of fantastic songs, which I'll go into more details in another video, but man, does Weight of the World work as a raid capstone. It's a triumphant call to action that makes perfect use of the fake hybrid Gaelic Japanese made just for Automata. There's a hop to the music as well, lent by the drums accompanied by a call and response in the horns. It's a wonderful blend of how such a light-sounding theme can carry so much gravity. Number 3. A Long Fall. And just like that, we're back into the twinning. 3 words summarize every experience I have in the twinning, solely because of the musical arrangement. Sprint stays on. I am going to run this concept into the ground, but I feel it is so necessary for so many of the pieces to capture that high energy that captivates you and draws you into an enjoyable experience. But momentum is paramount to this piece. A ramping rock piece with a pounding drum line that powers through your headphones while sprinkling the melody of Crystal Prelude every now and then. Honestly, I should start slowing my runs down through the twinning. Simply because the theme has to restart every time I get to the boss theme, and my momentum is ground to an absolute halt because of it. an immediate favorite for me, and a piece I listen to outside of the game quite frequently. Number 2. Who Brings Shadow? Let me get this scream out of the way real quick. Ah! Holy fuck! I know I am supposed to be talking about the music itself for pieces in this list, but it is impossible to separate the hype that was the 5.0 finale from this song. You just got done watching a cutscene ramp up to the most hype theme to come out of the story thus far, and now you get to slap some Ascian cheeks to the Shadowbringers theme. The ludonarrative of other warriors of light being summoned from other worlds to aid you is just icing on the cake, as well as foreshadowing for later. You and Emmett have both planted your feet, spoken your truths, and now a battle of wills will decide the fate of whose conviction is stronger. After you are done rocking out to the main theme for the first half of the fight, the scene changes, and so too does the music. Gone is the rock opera part 1. We are living in Hades' theme part 2, Electric Boogaloo. Swapping out the power guitar for a sweeping orchestra alongside their iconic choir, the ramping tension is brought to the forefront by the horns and enunciated by the strings before moving into a less stressful trot with the strings. Eventually, it all culminates in a crashing downpour of everything the musicians have to offer, just as the Scions are mustering all of their might to lay rest to the penultimate true Ascian. Goodbye, Emmett Selk. You were the best part of Shadowbringers. Obviously, only given 14 slots, I can't fit every song on the list, but here are some honorable mentions to some songs that I still thought deserved some kind of shout out despite not making the list. Number 1, To the Edge. Okay, so everything that just happened with Emmett and the Shadowbringers theme, how likely do you think you are to succeed if I were to tell you to do it again? Well, they did it in spades. Elidibus, I feel, doesn't carry all the weight that Emmett did, but he still had plenty of build-up, and this was more than a proper send-off for the last of the Unsundered. Taking a song and moving it into a major key and still have it sound good, is not an easy feat to accomplish. The main theme chorus echoing between the new vocals and the deep incantations brings a tear to my eye every time I hear this song. If Hades was the triumphant anthem leading to you claiming the crown, Warrior of Light is the grudge match with the affirming conviction that your beliefs are true and you deserve the title you worked so hard to obtain. Every ounce of the song sounds like a hard-fought victory, which is reflected from both parties desperately vying for control. The nod to the Scions and Sinners in the lyrics brings me tremendous joy as well. What a fantastic way to end the Unsundered arc. Well, those are my top 14 songs from the Shadowbringers soundtrack. Do you agree with my list? Is there anything you would change, or do you think I missed something in one of the songs? Let me know in the comments, or leave a like or dislike. Both help me out tremendously. And if you're hungry for more music tier lists, I plan on releasing quite a few more videos before the year ends. Consider subscribing if you want to be notified when those go live. Assuming I don't get distracted and just play Endwalker nonstop. Carry on, Warriors of Light. I'll see you in Eorzea soon.